nickel in a jar every time I talk about myself. So we're going to talk about my guest. And have we got a guest for you today? You know, I didn't ask him what he wanted me to say about him as his intro, but I'm going to tell you, Larry Izzo is my guest, and he's a mainstay in this comedy scene. I'm telling you, he's been around the country. He does Florida on a regular basis. He's in the Long Island area. That's where we're filming from today. His abode, as you can see. Everybody respects him. He puts on shows. He's on shows. He's a working comedian, and you're going to love him. He's creatively funny, and you're going to adore this interview. So watch the blinking lights and stay with us. Here we go. Now for my guest, the amazing Larry Izzo.
That's the first time I was ever called amazing, except by my psychologist. That's amazing. I never heard that one before.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Keep talking. We'll have you locked up in no time. But thank you, Linda. It's a pleasure being here.
Yes.
And I love being on this show.
One thing I neglected to say in your intro is that you two are a military veteran. So I'm not going to talk about me.
Yeah,
Tell me about what it means to be around military people and having been from them. Tell me
Well,
about
I was
that.
in the Air Force Reserves, and a lot of people don't consider that military.
I
but
do.
I did 6 years, and I truly enjoyed every moment that I was there, building things. I was in civil engineers. I was a fuelie. I filled up airplanes with fuel, and to me that was all an experience. I did it when I was 18, and I was in it until I was 24.
It's a long time.
And I actually wanted to stay in it longer. It's just that I started a business and knew I couldn't devote the time to it. So, but yeah, I loved every minute of it. I really did.
And even to this day, you're dedicated to comedy for the military. Can you let people know how?
I do. I really, I just want to do stuff for the military. So I think military people are forgotten about a lot, you know. They go to war, they fight, they lose limbs, they have PTSD. And did I say that right?
PTSD?
PTSD?
Yeah, they keep changing it on us.
I'm dyslexic, don't worry about it. I mix everything up. But anyway.
LBG.
LBGYN, I don't know what it means. LBGYN, is that something? Anyway, so I would love to do something and just give all that money that's created, and it might not be a lot of money because the shows we put on are in, restaurants and stuff, but I do want to do something that actually gives that money to some veteran that needs it. And I know there's organizations out there. I just like to add to it. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a special organization. I'm not going to create a special fund, but I would love to give to one of those organizations.
There are some that are actually doing things with the money, and I get really tired of bogus fundraisers and groups.
Well, a lot of people will raise funds for their own, publicity.
Yeah.
But at our age, who cares? I mean, I'd just rather see somebody get a prosthetic if they need it, get a wheelchair ramp into their house if they need it. And like I said, I know there are people out there doing that, and would love to be involved with anybody that wants to put me on a show, or I'll create my own shows and just give that money to them.
Absolutely. So I said I wasn't going to talk about myself, but being a veteran myself, I have a broken down computer. And I don't want to spend $750 to get what it takes to keep doing interviews.
Right.
So we're doing it on my phone today. Stick with me, folks. I'm a hit. And so...
Unless it rings, folks, then we're going to have to take a break.
Yeah, if I get a booty call, you're out. So I'm trying to keep the interviews going, and I found out about a nonprofit called Tech for Troops.
Oh.
And everybody, whether they went to war or they were reserve, you fill out a form and you send them a few things of proof, and you get a free computer. So I'm waiting for my computer.
Wow, that's nice.
And if they're really real, I wouldn't mind doing a nonprofit fundraiser for them.
Absolutely. It's all about, at our age, it's all about giving back. I mean, we had people give us in hard times, and,
Yes.
Maybe not, but you know, we got through it.
Yes.
And but when you have a disability or a mental disability, I can't even imagine that, because you know, everybody goes through somewhat type of depression,
Yeah.
and when you're depressed, you can't figure out what's going on. Can you imagine recreating war scenes in your head? I mean, that just, you know,
Would be
or
horrible.
traumas that people went through. You know, my dad, I did a one-man show and talked about him, but he was a medic in World War II, and he got hit. And, he was out on patrol, and he got hit, and his friends were getting hit too. It was mortar. So he got hit with shrapnel in his leg and up his groin, and he was crawling to his guys. And I know this because friends of his that got together after the war would tell me this when he had him over the house, and had story. He had two good friends that he stayed in touch with, and they would tell these stories, but amongst themselves. It wasn't like talked amongst the family. You would hear this between themselves, but they never talked about it in front of their wives. I think they could only handle it in between themselves, because it was emotional for them. And they were telling me how my father was crawling to these guys, being wounded and not being able to help them. He was freaking them out, but he was stabbing them with morphine, and you know, he was giving up his morphine to get, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, he was a pretty amazing person.
Wow.
And so these are things people forget. You know, when I hear people forget there was no Holocaust, I'm going to use the word, are you retarded? I mean, really, I don't care. That's a stupid statement. History books will tell you, even though everybody's changing history today, history books will tell you that this was a true thing, okay? And just ask a couple of Jewish people that their parents went through it, and I happen to know some people that their relatives went through it, and did studies on it, and had actually done reports on it. So
absolutely,
this was a true thing. Anyway, so was my experience.
You know, like coming from a family where your father was military and you were military, so that influences you to treat people differently. You grow up faster, you grow up with ethics, and now we're living in a world where people grow up slow, if at all, without ethics.
They don't grow up. You got 60-year-old kids living in their mother's basement. What's growing up? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I used to get calls as an exterminator. People used to call me up. Hey, can you come up and fog my house? I said, I'll come up and fog your whole house up. I don't care. No, but they would say, can you fog my basement? I got to get my kid out. I said, well, he's going to have to leave. No, we need him to leave. Good. I said, well, it'll take more than a bomb to do that. But, you know, and this is, I got some calls like that, believe it or not. Can you make it so stinky the kid can't stay down? What are you? Throw him out.
Grow a set.
Grow a set.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I think that parents, let's speak about the parents raising these young kids. Parents do need to grow a set, you know, and I know having messed up raising my daughter by being too weak, I think there's no pamphlet that comes out.
I was going to say, there's no book. I'm not a parent. I never was a parent. So I don't understand a lot of things. I go by the way I was raised. And a lot of shit that I wouldn't put up with, they say, oh yeah, you would. And you know what? I'm going to back up a little bit, because I do believe that, yes, times have changed and I probably would be a little more lenient. But you also know who you are. And I don't take shit from people, so I know how much shit I would take off a kid. Especially my kid. You know? So, and my old man always told me, he says, let me tell you something. He says, I'm your best friend, but you can't talk to me like you do to your best friends in the street. In other words, you still got to respect me, but I'm your best friend. I'll always be there for you. I know it's true. You know?
Wow.
True stuff. So, you know, you do have to have a figure in your house that, you know, use the stupidest things, right? Like, we were watching a show years ago called The Millionaire.
Yeah,
Remember
I love
that show?
I tried out for it.
Did you really?
I did. I got into the contestant pool.
Well, nobody knocked on your door. No, did you remember this show? It was a show that a guy used to knock on your door.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, not the one that, you know, Vivian Vance. No, this was a show. The guy used to knock on your door and hand you a check for $1 million. But if you told anybody where you got the $1 million, you wouldn't be, they would ask you for it back. So, and people used to take the money and spend. You could spend it any way you liked. It didn't matter, but you just could never tell who gave you the money, and that you got it. And my old man looked at me one night, right? And he said, "Hey, La, you see that guy?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "He ain't ever knocking on your door." He said, "So what I'm telling you is you want something, you go out and work for it." And you know, things like that. Things like, hey, you walking out of the house on a job interview, you didn't shine your shoes. That's the first thing they're going to look at. I went for a job. I was 18 years old.
Those are shined up.
And wanted to go military. You know,
Yeah,
you never
I see
lose
it.
that. I still fold my underwear, all right, in military form. I swear to God. Everybody laughs, but that's right.
It happens.
You had a Foot Locker? I had a Foot Locker. No, but anyway. So, what was I saying now? There we go. 2 senior moments.
Dude.
This ain't Memorex. This is live. But, where was
We were going down a path.
Yeah, we were.
We both.
So my father used to say, you know, shine your shoes, and you know, and it's true. You know, so I went for a job as an air conditioning refrigeration helper. And I was just looking for, you know, get into another trade. And I went to BOCES to learn a little about air conditioning. And then I started hitting all the big companies, right? I'm down to my last company because everybody wanted somebody with experience, and I had no experience other than BOCES schooling, which was 3 weeks. So I go into this office, and the guy looks at me and goes, "Hey, you're dressed too nice. Let me see your hands." And he says, "You got some calluses on your hands." I said, "Yeah." I says, "I can do the work." He says, "Nah, you know what?" He says, "You're just too clean." So I said, "Look, my father always told me, I don't care if you're going for a job as a auto mechanic, you go dress nice. You don't have to go in a suit and tie. So this is the way I dress for my interviews." He said, "Nah, kid, we can't use you." And I got to the last archway, and I just turned around, and I just said, "I'll tell you what, hire me for 2 weeks, don't pay me. Just give me an opportunity to prove myself, and I promise you, you'll hire me after 2 weeks."
Wow.
The boss comes out of his office like that, and he goes, "Did I hear somebody say they work for 2 weeks for nothing?" I said, "Yes, I would." He goes, "You're on." And I worked for that man for 2 years. And I started my business very young. I was 23 and in business. But I went to do this refrigeration thing. I worked for him for 2 years. And when I went into my own pest control business, he hired me.
Wow.
Not only did he hire me, he gave me a lot of his accounts.
What?
Restaurants and office buildings that he would take me and introduce me. And I think he wanted like a one-stop shop, like exterminating air conditioning. Yeah, we could probably make some pies too, you know. But you know, and I think this is what he wanted, and it didn't work out that way. I started my own, but we became. I worked for people that never burnt a bridge, and everybody I worked for hired me as their exterminator.
Wow.
I worked for the 7 Santini brothers, the circus act. I used to flare it. No, it was I was a catcher actually. And no, yeah, oops.
His name was Oops.
Sorry, never liked you anyway. But anyway, you got more money than I did. But no, so I worked for them, and then and when I went into pest control, most of the people hired me that I worked for.
Wow, what a
And building an exterminating business was the most fun I think I ever had, even though it was stressful. And a lot of laws, a lot of compliances, but it was a job that I loved. And for anyone to say that they loved their job for 30 years, I woke up every day loving it.
That's amazing.
What made me get out of it was the employee situation, because 30 years later, everybody changed. You couldn't get the workers to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
People started coming in telling me what their hours were going to be.
Wow.
And then, you know, you get people like, "Yeah, I'm wearing a giant hat." No, you're not wearing a giant hat. You're wearing a Champion Exterminator's hat. After 6 o'clock or after you're off, you can wear any hat you want. Right? But you were in my uniform, you're on my salary, you're wearing my hat.
Yeah.
So one guy was a wise guy, put on it after he left me. And I had the girls call the customers. "How was my guy dressed?" "He was dressed really good. You know, he had a Yankee hat on. I don't know why, you know." Oh yeah, Yankee hat on. Oh, you come back, I go, wear the Yankee hat again, and I swear to God, I'll dock your day's pay.
Exactly.
Done. So I never took people telling me how I was going to run my business. Guys have taken me out to dinner saying, "We're going to Terminex if you don't give us a raise." That was 3 guys came in my office on a Friday.
Jeez.
What am I going to do? I got thousands of customers that got to be serviced. I got routes with, how am I going to do this? And I says, go to Terminex. I don't care if I work 7 days a week, 24/7. Doesn't matter. I'll get it done, and I'll survive.
Exactly.
They went to Terminex. Then they call me up about 3 weeks later. You think we could come back? They're charging us for the car. They're charging us for everything. I got to pay for my own. I said, you know what? You decided to leave. If you're looking for sympathy, you'll find it in the dictionary somewhere between shit and syphilis. But you're not going to get it from me. Have
Wow.
a nice day.
Wow.
And that was it. And I fired those guys. How can you take somebody back that just screwed you? You know, you can't
I'm
do it.
still laughing
And you
about
have
the
to-
dictionary.
Oh, that's good. I got that off some show. Somebody said that. I just
I'm
thought
like,
it was
listen,
funny.
yeah, he's right. It's
Yeah, that's right. It was right. But anyway, so yes, the employee thing, and it just became very difficult. And then it became, you couldn't do the amount of work because there was so much traffic. So I said, you know what, 30 years is enough. I had a guy also that came in. I had to put him to work, and he robbed us, the company, not me, of a few $1,000s. And, and then he thought he would replace the money, but he forgot who he told had a balance, so we forgot, and that's how we caught him.
Wow.
And then people were calling me up, hey, I got a balance with you. I
Wow.
never thought I had a balance. And I said, well, it must be a computer error, and I checked. And, yeah.
Wow.
So I had to fire him, and it was a funny story because we went down the basement. I had young ladies working in the office, and my mother-in-law was working in the office, so I had no drama in the office in front of these girls. They don't need to hear this.
Yeah.
If I had to yell at somebody, not yell, because I think yelling is a demeaning thing. You don't yell at anybody, you talk to them. So I brought them downstairs, but still I didn't want to talk to them. Even though I had closed office doors, bring them downstairs so nobody hears it. And this kid, as I'm walking down the basement steps, I said, Mike, you broke my heart, you robbed me. 13 years you worked with me. I put you up in a hotel when you were on the street sleeping in your car, you and your wife. I says, I gave you this. I put you in rehab. And
Wow.
this is how you repay me?
Wow.
I knew you could afford it. Well, I'm just going to say, I saw nothing. I couldn't see red, black. I grabbed him by his belt or his balls. I don't know which one it was. He was standing behind me on the staircase. I'm walking down in front. I grabbed him and I swung him around and threw him off the staircase. And I put his head into a sheetrock wall.
Wow.
Now he starts crying. So now I said, hit shit, I'm going to jail. I hurt the kid, He's crying because he screwed me, and he wasn't hurt, but he screwed me, and he says, I just can't tell you how bad. I says, do me a favor. I says, I'm going to leave the office for about a half an hour. I said, because you just made me sick. I can't see anymore, so here's what you do. Pack up your shit, bring it upstairs. I'm going to tell Joanne to write you a check, and you're out of here. I can't hold your money because you can report me, but he paid me back out of the $4,000 that he stole. He must have paid me back $2,500. He left, of course, and then got another job.
Good Lord.
So then I had the Mustache Pete's come to me because they knew he worked for me, and he was a big gambler. And they said, hey, Lorenzo, do you think you could hold his money, pay us back? He owes a lot of money in gambling.
No.
I says, he doesn't work for me. I says, even if he did, what am I going to do? I says, he'll have the labor board down on me. I got to pay him, He says, well, then, I says, look, I don't want to know. I don't care. Don't bring it to my door. Just do what you got to do, And that was that. So he's still fine. He's around somewhere. I just never heard from him again, and that was it. But I heard from his mother, and his mother thanked me. She used to work in a bank in the neighborhood, and she thanked me for taking care of us. And he's also estranged from the family. And she says, we did everything for him. And I says, I get it. I says, I get it. So you don't have to apologize. It's not your fault. She goes, I feel, you don't have to feel anything. I knew you since I'm a kid. You were always nice to me. He's another story. And that's it. You know, you can't blame parents for what their kids do. I mean, unless the kids are, you know, unless you keep a gun out and you say, hey kid, go shoot up a school, you know. But
Hilarious.
I think that if there were more exterminators, there'd be less mass shooters. I can see that commercial. Hi there, urge to kill everything and everyone around you. Stop right there. Try a career in extermination.
Start small.
All you need is a thirst for blood and low to no self-esteem. Call right now, 1-800-I-AM-NUTS. But anyway, I think that's good. I put that in the set, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
So that was my
You
pest
didn't
control.
tell me about your childhood or what made you get into comedy.
Well, I retired out of pest control and I was sitting around doing nothing. And I saw an ad in the paper about a comedy school in Manhattan, and I said, why don't I just do it, you know? And then I went there, and I'm in a class with 20-year-olds, and, you know, you kind of feel out of spot. And what am I going to talk about? My mother? She's dead. So,
Totally.
you know, but I had this whole routine about my mother and my family, and I was so embarrassed to. So I'll never forget. I was getting ready to get up, do the set, and they took a break. So now we went outside, and I wish they didn't take the break because I was all pumped up and talking to myself, and you're going to do this. And so we go outside and take a break, and all the other kids are talking to each other, and I'm like the oldest guy in the room. I'm talking to nobody. So I take a walk up the block, and I said, go at this like you went to everything else in life. Not that you did walk out on anything. I never walked out on school. I never went to school sometimes, but oh, I used to walk out and, you know, whatever, when I wanted, but it was another year. But you never walked out on commitments, you know? So I committed to this class, and I'm not going to walk out. And I said, what's the worst that can happen? I go back, I bomb, I never see these kids again. It doesn't matter to me, right? And that's the way I got my courage up to go up and do the set. And when I got up and do the set, they applauded, and it was like, wow, I guess it was pretty good to make these kids applaud, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's how I just started. And so then I got done, and they said, well, you want to take another class? And I said, oh, no, you should. I said, you probably just want another $450. But I took another class, then I took a writing class, and I took improv classes, I took acting classes. And now I'm just waiting to become somebody. No, just waiting to get somewhere. But
A lot of people say you are somebody already.
I don't know who says that. I don't know, but I appreciate that. But I just feel that I wish I started younger.
Me too.
You know, because I've never loved anything other than pest control as a career. I mean, I hated most of the other jobs I had. And when you wake up every day and say you hate your life and you hate your job, that's when you got to get out of it. But the day I decided to get out of pest control, it wasn't because of that. It was because I wanted to kill the customers and let the vermin live. That's when I knew it was time to get out. But so yeah, so that's it. So this is a second love for me, and I think it's a blessing. To have a second love that you really enjoy doing. I wish I got up more, and certain things hold you back in life, you know, whether it's the flu or sickness or whatever. And but the idea is, I think, to just keep going and go at your pace. And people like you, they don't like you. You're never going to make everyone in the room laugh. There's an ass for every seat, and I look at it as music. It could be music to your ears, and then somebody else can hate the sound. So I believe comedy's like that. So if you're going to go see a comedian, this is my advice, unless you're going to support them, look up and see what he does or she does, and then you get an idea of what they do, and then don't go to the show and go, God, he was disgusting. You know, he was disgusting. You go into a dirty old rated X, 3XXX show, you might want to look at that before you went. You know?
That's right. That's the reason I started getting comedians on here to talk, because I saw at many clubs, people would go and buy a ticket and had no clue what the style of comedy was and came out dissatisfied. And you just spoke to that.
Yeah. I did a set about 2 months ago, and I used the guitar in the set, and I thought it was good, and everybody thought the set was good, but it was just that I couldn't get through it because people were talking about some game that was on that night. They weren't harassing me. That you can handle. You can go back at them, right? But when they start yelling out, "Hey, what's the score? Hey, anybody know the score? What are you eating over there? You eating the chicken fingers? How's the chicken finger? I'm working over here, you know." And you're up there going, "I'll take the chicken fingers and hey, how's those fries? They cold yet? Throw them up here. I'll eat them." Stupid ass. The thing that bothered me the most about that, the owner of the club was sitting in the room. Now, I don't care if you're a first-time comic getting up, you're a second time, or you're fucking 20 years in the game, all right? If somebody harasses you and the club owner says you go back at him, you go back at him. You can handle a heckler. This wasn't being heckled. This was total rude. You know, you're not just to me. They were doing this to everybody's set. And I'm watching the owner sit there. And you know what? He didn't care because they were buying drinks. They were drunk out of their face. And I just thought it was wrong. Now, I've been in clubs where they're on stage, they give you a warning. Please, put on your cell phones, put them on silent. And if you're going to harass somebody, don't do it here, because if you talk, we're going to come over to you once. The second time, we're going to ask you to leave. There's no 3 times. And I respected that so much. And one of those clubs, I'll tell you right now, is McCurdy's in Florida.
Really? That's fabulous.
I was just there, and that's the announcement they make when you're there.
I've seen where a comedian, like at Wise Guys in Vegas, they'll say, "Don't harass any of the comedians." And the minute, if the comedians ask a question of the audience and the audience person says the answer, they're out. That's how strict they are, which makes no sense.
Right, which I was doing this set one night, and I was talking about golf, right? And my friend says, you know, we got caddies. I said, well, what do you need a caddy for? You got a caddy, Volkswagen, it doesn't matter what you drive around. No. Do you know what a caddy is? I said, no. Well, caddy is a guy that treats you like, he's like a butler on a golf course, right? And somebody said, yeah, a Cadillac is like an Eldorado. No, it's not. But I didn't even react to that. You just keep going. And she shut up. Because if I would have reacted to that, she would have kept going all night long, you know. Jeffrey Gorgon, I saw him.
Love him.
I loved he knocked somebody down. He actually taught me something. But I was at, I think it was Dangerfield, and he was on stage. And he was talking, and somebody was harassing him. And he just turned around and says, everybody, we have a professional heckler in the audience. Come on up, would you speak up your name? And the guy shut up, sat down, didn't say nothing, you know.
That's the way
and
to
then
shut
you
them
hear
up.
comics go, hey, I'm working up here, shut up, you know. And that's rude. The club owner doesn't like it. People get offended because they're supposed to like you. Now you're just showing a different word. So you have to really know how to handle it. And it is difficult to handle sometimes, you know. I've seen people just walk off stage.
I have too.
You know, and I know that's not right. To get pissed off after, I've gotten pissed off after.
Me too.
You
know, I've learned some things though from hecklers. Sometimes they throw out a better punchline, for one thing.
Yeah, that's good. I'll write that down. You know,
Yeah.
but that's that's okay. There's a heckling, and then there's a drunk heckler, which I can't stand them.
I know.
I can't stand drunks.
It's true. We can't.
Because you're going to start repeating stuff, and okay. So yeah, but the fun of comedy is getting up, and to me, it's like an out of body experience. I'm there and I'm not. I don't hear the laughs. I don't hear anything because you're concentrating on your timing. You're concentrating on what you're going to say, getting your flow right, and you know, and you're concentrating all that, and it's just that you need that space to go. Now you do a 5-minute set. It's very difficult to do a 5-minute set. Now I need more time.
Me too.
And then when I can't get the time in the club, yeah, run your own show.
That's true too.
Yeah.
We need to have our own shows. Everybody does, because then you get to call your own shots. You make some money, and
you make some money, and there's a lot of comics coming up, great comics coming up, and you know they're younger. Maybe they'll get a better shot at a club. They'll hang out and drink more. I don't know, but and then they get to our age. Bringers? Well, let's see if I can get him out of the hospital. Can you put down your oxygen machine for like 30 minutes so you can watch my set? You know? But, you know, so when people say, can you bring bringers? If I run my own show, or I have a show where you'll give me 20 minutes, I will bring bringers. But if you're going to give me 5 minutes, I'm not getting the people out in my age category to do that, to see me for 5 minutes, because they're not going to like that, number one. And number two, they're going to want to be, you know, coming to a show that they want to see people with, you know. They did in the beginning. They'll come and see a 5-minute set. But that was, you know, 12 years ago, you know. Now it's time to, you know, so when these people come, but they'll come out for a dinner night out, for a show like that, where they have a dinner, they watch a comedy show for an hour and a half, they have another drink, and they go home. And it's a great night. And I'm trying to work with some restaurants. I believe next week I have some meetings. I just spoke to one gentleman. I want to do something, though, and maybe you can help getting involved with the military thing.
Yeah.
And getting some people to show up here.
Absolutely, I'll help you. I've seen you do shows. I saw you had me on a show at a restaurant. The place was packed with your people.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. There were a lot of other people there too that we wheeled in ambulances because we couldn't get the people to come. No, I'm kidding.
Were those all pest control customers?
No.
How low will you go to get some?
They were actually, I found them on the senior cheese line at Senior Cheese Day at the Senior Center. And I told them, if you want your block of cheese, you're coming to the show. No cheese for you, come back 1 year. But,
He's a cheese Nazi.
But anyway, so yes, the love of comedy is just, it's an experience that, and I don't care who does it, who gets up there, you gotta give them credit for just even getting that microphone in their hand, getting up there, because nobody knows how hard it is until you do it.
Yes.
And I'll never forget the first time I did it. I had a great set. The Gotham must have been 350 people there.
Wow.
At the Gotham Comedy Club. One of the guys, I had to have about 50, 60 people there.
Wow.
And one of the guys was a broker, and his whole firm came, so he rented buses. They came, plus the other comics that graduated, you know. So it was a graduation show, and it was a hit. It was, and the reason I knew it was a hit is because I knew I scored, because my family, I knew where they were sitting. They were over here. When you hear the laughs over there, then I said, okay. And that's what made me come back.
Wow. That's
what made me come back. Because, you know, usually you do it and say, I take a class, this is for me, you know. But, and then sometimes it's almost a determination, like, I got to prove this to myself. I got to do it. I can do this, and I'm going to do it, you know.
Absolutely.
So I just heard from Amy Schumer, and I don't know her. I just heard on a talk show the other day, that she is teaching Madonna
yes.
to become a comedian.
Yes, and Madonna's teaching her how to get on stage and
dance?
Dogs.
And do what?
Do you remember when Madonna had a thing with dogs on stage?
No.
I hope she doesn't teach it to Amy Schumer.
Okay.
I don't want to see that
twice.
Please.
Oh God, it must have been something really gross.
It's a very rare footage, you guys.
Yeah. Speaking about dogs.
Left turn, sorry about that. My bad. History.
I was at a restaurant a couple of weeks ago in Florida, right? Venice, Florida. I'm sitting at a sidewalk restaurant, and I'm sitting there, and a dog's sitting there. And there was no tables inside. Actually, it was, you know, full inside, so it was sitting outside because it's on season. And it was 3 in the afternoon. No, I'm kidding. It was about 6 o'clock before the sun went down. And actually, the sun was down already. But we're sitting on this sidewalk cafe type of thing, and there's this dog. It was a boxer dog, right? And all I kept through my whole dinner, right? And then he drops a deuce right there. I'm eating. I don't need to see this, you know? That reminds me of my niece. I go over my niece's house. This is all my sets, though, but this is true story. I go over to my niece's house, and should I be doing this? Because this is like stand up on a show.
Fun. Come on, let's just, whatever pops up.
So my niece, I go over to the house, and she goes, Uncle Larry, do me a favor. We want the kids to grow up chemically free. Don't wear any cologne when you come over the house. And I used to say to her, you're speaking to an exterminator. I used to eat a sandwich, pump chemical, smoke a cigarette at the same time. I still got everything intact. I said, but okay, it's your kid. So I made a set out of this because this is true. So the dog goes outside, drops a deuce the size of a 2-tier ring ding cake, comes back inside, licks his ass, licks his balls, goes over to the baby in the high chair and starts the face cleaning process. And I'm like, Jackie, your daughter just stuck his tongue in a dog's mouth. I never tongued the dog. Well, let me back up a bit. I was 16, she was 16, and our braces locked. But that's what you get. I go over the house, and so it's okay for me not to wear cologne. Polo, dog shit, I don't know, I go with the polo. But I'm a strange guy. So this is what you got today. People care about their dogs more than their relatives, for God's sake.
That's hilarious.
I haven't been back since. I just wanted you to know.
I bet that bit kills.
Yeah, it does.
Hilarious.
Except.
I want to see you do it at Comic Strip Live.
I'll do it.
Hilarious.
I'll do it, and I'll tell you something else. It gets a laugh, except for dog lovers. I mean, do you really think that I hate dogs that much? You know, I do it because people look. There's a time and a place for everything. I mean, do I want to walk around a pool and see a dog drop a deuce in the pool? No.
Exactly.
But I got friends of mine. You go over their house, their dog is in the pool with you. I don't need a, you know. I think there should be a separate airlines for dogs and kids.
Me too. I don't think Clorox kills everything.
No, I think your child should get on a plane with some dogs and get the greatest licking, ass licking thing they ever got.
Oh my gosh.
Come out cleaner than they went on, that's for sure. But anyway.
Times have changed. We're all trying just to cope. I feel sorry for the young people. They got handed life and they don't know what's cooking. And life has really gone crazy lately. And then for us, I feel sorry for us because life has changed. We're like fish out of water.
Yeah, life has changed, but I'm not changing. You are who you are. I'm not going to change. I mean, you change with things, of course, clothing styles and stuff like that. But I mean, some of it is just ridiculous. You know, I'm watching the Grammys the other night, and I got to tell you, you talk about there were some real talented people on that show that deserved awards that didn't get them, okay? And I don't care. I'm not in the music business. Beyonce, you ain't no cowgirl, all right? I mean, I respect what you do, you know, but I'm saying,
yeah.
The country community really didn't appreciate that. And your husband actually got up, I don't know how many times, and said, I don't know how many albums she's got, and she never got album of the year. Well, you keep saying, finally they shut you up. But was that true? Was that a true winning, or was that like browbeating somebody into making a decision? You know, that to me, and look, she's a talented girl,
Yeah.
very talented. But
My
there's
hat's
certain
off
things.
to her to be able to do crossover art. That's great.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
But you're not a country girl. You're not in the country community. Nobody in the country community supports that. You're not in with them.
Yeah.
You're in the R&B community. And you can cross over, do whatever you want. It's good. But should you have gotten country album of the year
No.
over other country performers?
Look at Michael Jordan when he went from one sport to another, and he was able to because he was Michael Jordan basketball.
Right.
But would he deserve to be player of the year?
Not if he wasn't good. If he wasn't, no,
Didn't
I'm not
have the
saying
stats.
Look, she's a good performer. She does great concerts, not knocking her ability at all. It's just I just thought she didn't
Deserve it.
I thought she got that award because they were browbeating the Academy into doing it.
Yeah.
That's all. So yeah, it is what it is, and I just think that people should deserve things because they deserve them. You know.
Yeah.
It's like kids. You know, you do something, you deserve a reward for it. But
It
you
has
know,
nothing
my
to do with her color.
But
It has to do with.
It has to do with talent.
Yeah.
You are talented. You've won album of the year. You won record of the year, gold records. But I didn't think this album, I like country music. I didn't think this album was that great.
And the other side of it is she shouldn't not get it because she's black.
Exactly. It shouldn't be a color thing. Talent is talent.
Thank you.
You know?
What happened to that?
What, you know, Chris Rock should get something above Maniscalco? No. They're equal, you know, to me, I don't know. I hate this whole, I hate that.
Yeah.
I just, you know, people are people, we all bleed the same. We all
And then
bleed the
people
same red
assume we're
blood.
racist because we don't think that Beyonce deserved to get the Grammy Award. It's not because of her color.
And it's not because of her talent. She's a talented girl.
Yeah.
I think there were other albums out this year that deserved it more than this. And just by people keep repeating that she should have got it, she should have got it, making a big deal out of it, that's why she got it. And to be honest with you, look at her face. Her face looked like she wasn't really gun-ho for it. I mean, that's just my opinion, right?
You know, Shania Twain was country, and she did an album. Remember when they had big albums? They had the front and the back.
Yeah.
With a lot of songs on. She did the same songs on one side of the album in country, and then flip it, and it was pop.
Okay.
She changed the whole mode of every song. That deserves a Grammy.
Yes. I don't say that you shouldn't try different things. God,
Yeah.
if you didn't try different things, that's creativity.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, even if it bombs, you still try. But to me, I think there were better albums that she probably could have won for,
Yep.
other than this one. That's basically what I'm saying. Not that it wasn't a good album. Not that her talent. She's a talented girl. She should have won for other albums, but not for this. It's like giving John Wayne an award for True Grit. He should have got one for Harm's Way, but not True Grit. What did he do? He was old. He was, you know. That's the way I feel.
Hey, we're all entitled to an opinion. And that's the thing that people forget nowadays, is that when somebody expresses an opinion, then you're on the outs with them. Well, that needs to stop.
I stopped that a long time ago. I told my friends and family, you don't like my political things? First of all, I'm not political. I don't like to talk about it. And if I go on a show that's very political, I'm very like that about it. But I have my own beliefs, and if you don't like my beliefs, then that's my beliefs. But I'm the same person I was. I didn't change my personality. I didn't change my whatever, you know, that you liked about me in the beginning. Only you heard that I like something politically that you don't like, and now you're my enemy.
Exactly.
If that's the way you want to feel, stay my enemy. You never were my friend. And if you're a family member, ungats, I don't get it. And that
I
means-
refuse to be what people want me to be. And I refuse to talk politics. I really do.
And sometimes
people force you into it.
And so, people force you into it. And sometimes, you know, you say you want to be who you want to be, and they don't make you. They don't want you to be what you want to be. They want you to be what they want you to be, or believe the same thing. I said to a friend of mine, I said, "You're yelling at me." I said, "Basically, I'm agreeing with you, but you're yelling at me." I said, "Because you want me to say the same things you're saying." I said, "It doesn't work that way. You know, I'm saying what I'm saying, you're saying what you're saying. Basically, we're saying the same thing in different terms," I said. And if you don't want to be my friend because of that, hang up the phone. We're done.
Exactly.
And that's the way I feel. So I don't really care. I'm not out here to insult anybody, out here to hurt anybody with comedy, insult anybody with comedy. You know, you do have to watch what you say today, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Me too.
You can't say the word retarded. You can't say the word midget. You can't say oh, please, okay? Go back to comedy and see what true comedy was. Go back to the middle of the 20th century and see what comedy was, and watch the old guys. They came out with more dirty stuff, innuendos, that were more funnier than anything else, but would never be accepted today. And that's pathetic. So you woke people, wake up!
You know, what's happening is the wokeness is actually taking away our freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
One click at a time.
I agree.
And that's sad.
It's very sad.
And we have to push back. As artists, we have to keep those lines of communication, no matter how uncomfortable the audience is, to not cower to that.
Well, I do have to say something. I'll be honest. I did a corporate show not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw my sets. I'm not dirty. I don't dirty sets. And it was clean comedy. So the first joke had to do with a midget, and it wasn't. I was talking about him, and I didn't say midget didn't say midget. I said a dwarf-like person. Right away, the text started going to the person that hired me. He's making fun of short, tiny people. Okay. Then I was talking about my Aunt Angelina, right? Taking her to the doctor and stuff like that. And, you know, translating because she was Italian and she didn't understand a lot. I had to translate for her. So I said something like, I said something like, and she comes to me well, nobody knew it was Aunt Angelina. The joke was, I got a relative coming over the house, and they say to me, Lorenzo, today I'm so old. I got so depressed. One day you're going to find out you're going to sit on the toilet, and your privates are going to hit at the wall. And I said, that would have been nice coming from my father, but that was my Aunt Angelina. Right? Right away the text started. He's making fun of his aunt, making fun of older people. So the gentleman, I'm about 15 minutes in now, right? And the golf thing they like the golf thing. And he comes over to me, he says, I'm getting a lot of flack. He says, I'm listening to this. He says, I don't see anything wrong, but I'm getting a lot of flack. Dwarf person. I says, look, this is a woke crowd. I says, I'm sorry guys, we got to cut the show short because we ran out of time, you know, and the group has to get back to their planned activities, you know, which was, I had like lunchtime, you know, and that's the way it went. There was nothing said after that. They weren't upset, but I was upset because here you are trying to entertain people. I didn't say anything wrong. It was funny, and you got everybody picking. These people were just there to pick things apart.
Exactly.
All right. I saw some people laughing. There were older people laughing, but there were just some people that just whatever. They're just whatever. So I just said that's it, and wrapped it up. And I will never do another corporate event again until everything is, because to me it's not worth it. I'll do, you know, and I give them clips of what you're gonna say,
Exactly.
so they know, you
They
know.
have to know.
And nobody said anything, so you know, it is what it is. Once in a while you bomb, and that's it. The only way. See, now I can say bomb. As an exterminator, I was the only one that could say bomb, because you can't say bomb, right?
I got hired to do comedy at the VA in Vancouver, Washington. And I told them I want to go around at the CLC to the rooms where all the people come out of surgery and they're sitting there in their room one by one and make them laugh one by one. Instead, they set me up to be there at their weekly volunteer meeting, meaning that everybody volunteers for a week, and then on their day off they have to come in and volunteer to drive back in to listen to a meeting that they saw the agenda on the board all week long. But no, they've got it. They're hostages. And oh, by the way, here's Linda. She's going to make you laugh in her first year of comedy. So
Yeah.
I went back 5 times, and every week I switched the style of comedy to see, okay, they didn't like rhetorical. Let me try sarcastic. And I was trying all different styles of comedy. Finally, I told the guy, this isn't going to work. And he said, okay, then you can't come back on this post and tell any jokes anywhere. I'm like, didn't we serve in the American military? Don't we have freedom of speech? He tried to tell me I didn't have the right to come back anywhere on that post and tell any jokes anywhere since I didn't come back.
Wow.
This is the stuff you go through in comedy,
Yeah.
folks.
Well, you get a lot of things in comedy, you know. I just go with the flow. Yeah, I try to be nice to everybody. I try to, you know, get along with everybody. There are people that are going to like you. There are people that are going to be jealous of you. There are people that are going to think they're funnier than you. And, you know, like I say, there's an ass for every seat. So.
You know what I've noticed since we've come back from the pandemic? Things are getting better. There's enough in this comedy world for everybody, every style.
Absolutely.
And we just need to follow. People say, oh, I wrote out and she didn't write me back. Why don't you just send out so much stuff that you can't keep track of who's writing you back?
And then one day you'll get something.
Something.
You throw enough spaghetti against the wall, it's going to stick.
That's
right?
it. You
So,
heard it
and
from a real Italian.
Yeah, that's right. You heard it from Luigi. Lorenzo Izzo. I've thrown so much spaghetti across this table. No.
What in your life, Larry Izzo, what is the one thing you have to accomplish before you get old like me and die, and what is the legacy that you want on your tombstone? What is it that you don't want to be taken for granted by? What legacy are you trying to leave? I know what I'm trying to leave, but what are you trying to leave?
I'm just trying to leave a legacy. It's not even a legacy. I'm not, you know.
I know.
A legacy is how you want people to remember you by, I guess. You know.
Yeah.
I want them to remember me by as I think a good person, a person to help people out. Don't cross me type of person. But I think, you know, that's a hard thing, because I don't think of myself as, you know, out of all these people in the world, what are you going to do, you know? But if I can make people laugh for 5 minutes of their life, then that's something that gets to me. I think being a good person is basically it. You know, everybody goes into this religious thing. I don't care whether you're Jewish, whether you're Catholic, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Buddhist. It doesn't really matter. All religion is just being a good person. And basically, that's all it is. And basically, that's what be a good person.
Be a good person.
And that's it.
You know, you guys, you've been sitting here listening to Larry Izzo, and every once in a while, you just get that feeling that this guy should be so uber famous. Talking to him. He's got the heart, the soul, the grit, everything.
I'm going to be driving an Uber soon because we're not making any money in comedy. No. Although that's not a bad thing.
I want you guys to follow him and support his career, whatever it is. And you won't know what that is if you're not following him. So Larry, please tell everybody where to follow.
Well, I have a show on Spotify. It's a podcast called The Thrill of the Kill, which Linda was on, and she'll be on next week's episode. That's coming out next Wednesday. I have a cooking show on YouTube called Laughs with Larry, Cooking with Comics. I have several videos out. I'm working on a couple of videos. And a friend of mine, Richie Scotti, had just done this video, Thank God I'm an Italian Boy, and then we're just going to be putting out another one this month called Divorce Court, which should be interesting. And they're just kind of funny spoofs on, you know, situations. I have another video coming out. It's actually the Ex-Exterminator song with a little country twist to it. And I'll play that and have bugs running around me. So we got quite a few things in the hopper here.
Awesome. So say where to follow you one more time.
Follow me on Facebook at Larry Izzo. Follow me on Instagram on laughs_with_Larry. And on YouTube. Laughs with Larry, Cooking with Comics. And on Spotify, Apple, everywhere a podcast is my podcast called The Thrill of the Kill. I can't even remember. The Thrill of the Kill. And why is that? Because I used to be an exterminator. You killed an exterminating, and hopefully you kill in comedy. So.
Yes.
And it's a thrill to kill both, I'll tell you that.
Yes. You gotta support him. You gotta watch his videos, help his clicks, help him in any way that you can. He's interested in doing military shows around the area. So if you know of any venues or people that are military, shut-ins, whatever, get them out to his shows. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching.
And thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Larry, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That was good.
It was good. It was natural. Didn't come without error, like we both forgot what we were talking